All right. Hello, everybody. I'm BMillzebub, and welcome to a new Apostate interview tonight. I know this is kind of impromptu, but tonight I've got Nervardia. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Sorry about the surprise. It was just like, oh, I'm not doing anything. So, yeah.
Including studying. Bad student.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've finished university for the year, so I don't have to study.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh, there you go. You just
Hey.
take a nice break.
Yeah, I do need one. I haven't had one in over 2 years, so yeah.
Yeah, I watched your study. You did a live stream study session like a week ago, and I didn't understand a damn word you were saying.
Neither did I, actually.
No. Scientist in training doesn't know what she's talking about. It's all right.
No, I went all right. I passed. That's the main thing.
Oh, there you go. But oh, yay! Forgot to murder the sound on my phone. All right. So I like to start and finish all my interviews the same way. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel?
Okay, my name's Meredith. My real name is Meredith. A lot of people think my name is Nervardia, but my real name is Meredith, or Mero. So if you ever hear people call me Mero, that's why. It's my nickname. My channel was originally I was originally having two channels. One was science and one was Godless Australian, and then I amalgamated the two, and now I am doing Australian politics every once in a while, atheism, science, occasionally Lucius, because everyone seems to love Lucius, who I have seen some questions about him already in the chat. He's not with me at the moment because he's been trying to eat me, because he's just recently shed and he seems to get hungry after a shed. So if you really have, he might make an appearance if enough people bug us about it, but you know, yeah. So yeah, that's basically my channel at the moment. It's a bit eclectic at the moment. Maybe I might do something completely random elsewhere, but my main focus is science communication and atheism, and from an Australian point of view.
All right. So I actually am curious. Where do you actually live? Because Australia isn't real. Come on.
Oh, well, I could tell you that, but I'd have to kill you. So, yeah. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to. I got a message from the Illuminati. They've had some technical difficulties, and they've been unable to pay me this today. I'm usually get paid today, which is a bit annoying because I need to get my car fixed. Yeah.
That does sound kind of annoying, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully tomorrow I'll get my pay.
Yeah. I hate it when my George Soros check doesn't clear.
Yeah. It's annoying, isn't it?
Hell, it's not easy being part in a massive conspiracy.
I know, absolutely. It's just awful.
Now, of course, I mean, you've got it way harder because, I mean, you work for the Illuminati and you have to...
And NASA as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
so, yeah. NASA pays on the off week, so, I get paid weekly. But, yeah, that's what happens when you have a problem when it comes to, like, replacing your CV boot in your car. Like, it's an expensive thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it.
Yeah, it's like $1,000, over $1,000 to replace your CV boot, and it's just like,
yeah.
Come on, Illuminati, give me my money.
Sounds like they're not holding up their end of the bargain there.
No.
Such a shame, because I mean, their resources are supposed to be unlimited, right?
Exactly. I mean, you'd think they would give me more money. Come on.
Yeah. Should be living on Easy Street.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, well. But speaking of massive conspiracies, what religion did you grow up part of?
I was a non-denominational Christian. So that's kind of like normal in Australia, if you're going to grow up religious, the chances are you're probably going to grow up Christian. Although we're becoming a lot more diversified in our religious beliefs. But the domineering religion is Christianity. I think it's Catholicism is the main Christian sect, if I remember correctly, or Protestantism, that word. Yeah, so yeah, I was non-denominational Christian growing up. The problem was that my dad is a very, 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 very staunch atheist, and my mum is a spiritual person. My grandmother was Brethren, so that's an interesting group of people. I've tried looking into it a little bit because it's important for me to know where I come from as well. But I did we grew up sort of believing in God, and it didn't really help that public school systems were pushing Christianity. So yeah, I'm not okay with that. As an adult, I'm completely not okay with that. I think they've stopped doing scripture. I think they're now just doing ethics for school kids. But yeah, public school systems, when I was growing up, pushed Christianity. And yeah, so that's probably where I got a lot of my Christian beliefs from, was actually from a public school. Yeah.
Yikes. That hasn't, legally speaking, been a thing in the US since about the 1970s. So
legally speaking,
yeah,
reality wise,
yeah.
different.
Oh yeah, especially in the South. And yeah, it's a little embarrassing. So I mean, it's weird because Australia is usually, like 3 steps ahead of the US. So how come your country was imaginary, maybe, was so far behind?
Well, the thing is, a lot of the things, since at least in my experience as an adult, whatever the Americans do, Australia does a few years later. So, for example, you guys elected Trump. We've got Morrison, who is a bit of a happy clapper, kind of very conservative in his views, very happy to shit on all the poor people. Yeah, so I've noticed that we, as a country, tend to follow the US in certain things. We as a people, I find, are quite open-minded and liberal, but our country, like the people running our country, not so much. Yeah, that's my experience. I'm sure there's going to be some people in Australia who disagree with me on that one, but that's an anecdotal thing for me.
Oh, yeah,
it's bad. It's very bad. Like, our country at the moment. So Morrison, he's recently started really attacking people who are protesting against climate change, for example. And he's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to, but he's certainly mentioned that having he wants to legally force businesses to support coal mining. So banks and insurance companies are not allowed to aren't allowed to say, we don't want to support a giant coal mine because we are being pressured by the community to not do it, which is, one kind of going against the whole idea of democracy and businesses, and also kind of going against the whole idea of allowing a business to make its own decision. Also, it's kind of stupid in the sense that if you force a company to back something that is going to be really, really destructive, I mean, I'm expecting, like, if that happens, everyone's insurance premiums will go up, because insurance companies are taking into account the effects of global warming in the future into how much they're going to charge us, because they know that if there's going to be more droughts, there's going to be more worse storms, there's going to be so much worse things happening around the world because of global warming, and forcing insurance companies to back things that will cause economic disaster is, not cool at all. So yeah,
it's interesting political climate, but I mean, isn't everyone basically legally required to vote in Australia, or am I remembering that wrong?
No, you're correct. We do actually have to vote, but if we don't vote, we get fined, but it's not much. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's like $50 or something. And Jen, yes, he is definitely an asshole. Morrison is definitely an asshole. Anyway, he we are forced to vote. We are legally required to, but we have to do it when we have to register to vote, and then after that we need to go vote, unless of course we have some sort of reason that's acceptable, such as religious freedom, like, of course, J-Dubs, because I know I can see Notchers on the live stream. He would know, like, they don't vote, then there's certain religious people who can't vote for religious reasons, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. There's also some people who are just like, I haven't registered to vote because I'm too fucking lazy, and for that, I think you guys are a wanker. You have no right to complain.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that. I've always had kind of the thought of, I mean, you didn't vote, so why are you complaining about a system you took no part in?
Exactly.
But I can kind of sort of see the other end of that, but I prefer my side of the fence,
Well, I've looked into voter suppression in America, and that's just terrifying. Like, it is really, really scary. But in Australia, it's just shoved down your throat. You have to vote. And I think, I don't know what the stats are, but it's in, like, the vast majority of people vote in Australia. Even if it's a donkey vote or someone walks in and just puts an empty ballot box in, that's fine. So yeah, I think that's a much better thing. Compulsory voting, I think, is a really important thing, because if it was for compulsory voting, I would be highly, highly surprised if Trump had made it in. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I don't know, but that's my thought process, is because a lot of people were like, oh yeah, he's not going to get in, he's crap. But that's my thought process. Again, I could be wrong.
I a little more blame the Electoral College, which is a wildly undemocratic institution, but
oh yeah,
the U.S. isn't a very good democracy, so.
Absolutely not. Yes, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me where someone can get, what was it, 1 million extra votes or something like that, and still not win. Like, how is that democratic?
Hillary actually won the popular vote by 3 million.
3 million, right? Yes, 3 million.
But because empty pieces of land have more voting power, the other guy won.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very odd system we have. But I mean, kind of coming back to the apostate side, because
politics and religion may as well add sport into it and just have, like, set your channel on fire, really. Hey.
You know what? I've set my channel on fire a couple of times. It'll be fine.
Fair enough.
So, like, what's the I don't know if I want to say craziest, but maybe strangest thing about your former religion?
Well, I went to a Catholic school for my secondary schooling, for my high schooling. Probably the craziest thing was in year 7. So you start high school in year 7, so this first year of high school, where we were all of us, because Catholic Mass, if you've never been to one, is about as entertaining as watching paint dry on slow motion. So, so all of us were sitting down, staring at the statues for entertainment purposes, and yes, that's how entertaining it was. And people were going, "Oh my God, the statues are moving!" And so we were all going on, and that lasted for ages. And we actually told the priest that, and the priest was like, "No, don't be stupid." So that was pretty funny. But yes, knowing now what happens to your brain when you stare at something for a long period of time, you do actually see things move because your brain's doing stuff. I don't know how it works, but your brain does see things move.
Yeah, I think it's like a way of distracting itself when it's bored.
Yeah, because apparently, if you stand in a dark room staring into a mirror with a bright light behind you, you actually there's weird freaky shit happens to your face, and it like scares the crap out of you. I've never tried that though. I've been wanting to, but I keep forgetting to do it. But yeah, apparently that's something that happens, is because your brain just kind of just starts doing stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, how did the priest not run with that? He's like, "Oh,
I know."
I mean, shit. Talk about fodder for incredulous people.
Exactly. So
You could have
yeah.
seriously had people going with that.
Exactly. But no, he did believe us, which is hilarious. But yeah.
Oh. So what got you to start questioning I don't know if I want to say validity, but maybe veracity of your religion?
Okay. So I know this sounds like a cliche answer, but it's cliche because it's happened so often and it's so true. I read the Bible. I read the Bible. So I wanted to become confirmed in the Catholic Church. I hadn't been baptized. And I was like, okay, I want to start moving towards being an actual Catholic girl and be a good Christian girl. And this actually would go back. So let's go back to when I was 7 or 6. I remember at school, I used to be extraordinarily embarrassed to be going to scripture. So I would be swapping between going, "Oh, I love scripture, I love God, I love Jesus," to, "Oh my God, why are we learning this? This is ridiculous." So I've always had that thought in the back of my mind that it was bullshit. I never believed Jonah and the whale. I never believed the Noah's Ark. I never believed the story of the Garden of Eden. I never believed. I always knew that it was just an allegory. So when I was growing up, I always had in the back of my mind that this was bullshit. And when I was at high school, so year 8, I think it was, my best friend at the time started taking me to youth group, which is like basically child indoctrination for teenagers. And I remember listening to a story where they told a story about some kids who were going off dingo hunting. So dingoes are a native Australian dog, which, if you go dingo hunting now, you'll get into a lot of trouble. But they went off dingo hunting by setting traps filled with poisoned golden syrup, which is sort of like a molasses kind of thing. So it's sweet. And so it would attract all the dingoes, they'll eat it and die. And so so they said on the way back, this boy had a drop of the poisoned molasses golden syrup stuff on his hand, and he went to lick it. And his sister was like, no, don't do this. Don't stop. Like, stop. You're going to eat it and then you'll die. And they used that as a parable to say, even if you let your guard down for half a second, the devil will come in and steal your soul. And you've got to always make sure that you're on the guard against God. And I was sort of thought to myself, hang on, don't you think God should probably, give us a little bit of leeway and protect us from that? Like, why, you drop your guard for half a second and you're invaded by, the devil. And of course, that was while I was quite indoctrinated. So I was like, no, God loves us and he'll protect us and he'll get us out of it. And rah, rah. But that doubt was always there. So that was when I was about 14. So I was about 16-ish when I was like, okay, I actually really want to become part of the Catholic Church. I want to be a good Christian. So I decided to start reading the Bible to see what I was getting into. So I started reading the Bible and I started getting a bit depressed. And then I was praying to God. I was like, God, please get me out of this funk. I'm so sad and awful. And then I stopped reading the Bible because I was tired, or schoolwork was catching up with me. And then I stopped reading the Bible and I got happy. Anyway, I was like, oh, okay. A few months later, I was like, okay, I'll read the Bible again. I'm sorry, God, for not praising you as much as I should be, blah, blah, blah. Started reading the Bible, started getting depressed, stopped reading I said to God, can you help me get out of this funk? I stopped reading the Bible. The pattern repeated itself again. Realized I hadn't been praising God, so I decided to start reading the Bible. Started getting depressed, started asking God to help me out. And then one day it just clicked. Why am I getting depressed when I'm reading the Bible? Shouldn't me being a Christian make me all happy? So I read the Bible from a psychoanalytical point of view, not a Christian point of view. And I was like, oh, right. Okay. I'm in an abusive relationship with my own brain. So I didn't lose my faith. I didn't get rid of my spirituality for a very long time afterwards. I just was like, no way am I going to be worshipping this motherfucker. So I went, I'll quote, what's her name? Cersei from Game of Thrones. She said that her dad, he believes in him, he just doesn't like him very much. And I was like, I can relate to that statement. Because when I was Christian, when I lost my faith, my love for God was, I believe he exists, I just don't like him. So that was my first step out of Christianity. But I lived in an area of the world that was very, very, very hippie, very, very new age. And so, of course, I went into spiritualism. So I was a Wiccan for a while. I never did the spells or anything like that, but I liked Wiccanism, and I still kind of do. I think it's a really interesting thought processes. I adhered to the Wiccan read of do what you will, yet it harm none. And I believed in the 3-time law rule. And even today, even now, like I still do a couple of things that are hangovers from that Wiccan time, but it doesn't mean anything. I know it means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So, but I still do it because I enjoy it. And yeah, it's just a weird thing that I do. But so I was a bit of a Wiccan for a while. I was anti-vax. I was pro-organic. Well, not, I was sort of, I was very new age. There was a lot of new age stuff. I believed in the ley lines within the earth, and I believed in Atlantis, and but luckily that never stuck. And I've always been proud of my ability to change my mind when presented with extra information. And once I realized that there was no real evidence behind all of that stuff, I was like, okay, cool. All right. I don't believe that anymore. When I moved away from that area to where I live now, about 6 years ago, which is a terrifying thought. At that time, I was kind of when it came to religion and spirituality. I still believed in, the spiritual side of things. But when I started uni, we were learning about the brain. And when the lecturer was saying, okay, this is how neurons fire and this is what happens, I just kind of went, oh, there's no afterlife. I am just a series of complex chemical reactions, and I just had the most profound existential crisis I've ever had in my life. And that basically, when I learnt about that, and when I learnt about how proteins folded, I just went, yeah, there's no God. There can't be. Science has just basically disproven God for me. Outside of a black swan event, I doubt that there is a God or a godlike creature in this universe. Beyond this universe, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, the evidence would have to be pretty freaking high for me to accept that there is a God.
See, I've got two things. First of all, what's a black swan moment? And I forgot the other thing, actually.
Okay. So a black swan event is a okay, so it comes from the story of when the Europeans and English were running around in Europe. All they saw were white swans. So in their opinion, the only swans that are around are white. All swans are white. When they came to Australia, they went to Western Australia and they found a black swan. And so basically just that simple discovery of a black swan changed their outlook on the color of swans. So you now have white and black swans. And therefore, because of that black swan, it means that there might be other color swans out there on the planet. So that's what a black swan event is, an event that single event that overthrows current knowledge. So, for example, until a few years ago, it never hit 50 degrees Celsius in Australia, and yet it hit 50 degrees Celsius in Australia. I can't remember. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer, where Central Australia hit 50 degrees Celsius. So that's another black swan event, because now Australia can hit 50 degrees Celsius. Yeah. So beyond that, beyond an actual God landing on Earth and go, I am God, I won't really accept all that much information like that. All the arguments for the existence of a God is sort of something So I wouldn't call myself an atheist. I'd call myself an agnostic, because we haven't discovered all of the things in the universe. But yeah, that's me.
All right. The other thing I remembered is, what would beyond the universe look like?
I'm not a theoretical physicist, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that one.
Yeah, because it's an odd concept, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, one that I'm not totally sure is terribly coherent from the scientific standpoint, but
no, it's like what happened before the universe. It's like what happened before time started. We can't answer that one, because there was no time before time.
So there couldn't have been a before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, so let's talk about your channel a little bit more. What got you to start making videos?
So with my science videos, I had already started doing like I think it was probably 4 or 5 months old. I was just randomly uploading videos onto this science channel. It started when I had to do a video for a advanced organic chemistry group assignment, and I uploaded it onto that site and onto my science channel, and I was like, I really enjoyed doing that. I'm going to make more videos. So I started that. We actually got the best overall video for the class, which was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I've had to put it on private because I have myself, 2 other people, and I dox myself. I tell everyone where I go to uni, and also I've got the real names of my 2 classmates. So yeah, I just went, I can't have that on out in the public because of safety reasons, obviously. Unfortunately, because it was actually quite fun and quite a good video, if I don't mind saying so myself. Anyway, so I was doing that for a bit, and then the massacre in Christchurch by an Australian, where tragically the 50 people were killed. I condemn that disgusting person. I don't know this person's name. But after that happened, and I found out that he was an Australian, or them, that scum, when I found out that they were Australian, I decided to go, this is not cool. Australia is leaning more and more, like the stuff that's coming out of Australia is leaning more and more towards the religious right. You weren't hearing about amazing things that we've discovered, and scientifically, like we're one of the forefronts to develop a vaccine against malaria, for example. 2 Australians found out that H. pylori causes stomach ulcers. So like there's a lot of innovations that have come out of Australia, like the Wi-Fi came out of Australia, but we don't hear about that because we're too busy hearing about dickheads such as Fraser Manning blaming the massacre of 50 innocent people on those 50 innocent people. And I just wanted to say, look, Australia isn't like that. We don't think like that as a general rule. There are, of course, people who do think like that, but we aren't. We need to get our voices heard. So I decided to start my channel. I couldn't find a single Australian atheist YouTube channel anywhere. I really, really searched, but I couldn't find one. And then I was watching a video with Surus, and I heard Notja talking, and I was like, is that an Australian accent? And I clicked through. Yep, he's Australian. Send him an email, and the next thing you know, I'm here. So going, holy crap, what's going on? Yeah, so that's what triggered me, was the awful Christchurch attack. So yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I mean, that's definitely cool that you did it. Like you just started because of a project, and you're like, this is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. Yeah. So I don't regret it. Sometimes I do, but I don't regret it. And it is nice to be able to get my voice out there. And I've met some beautiful people. I never thought I would have ever talked to anyone like, I've been watching people such as Telltale, for example, for years, and I would like the idea that I actually would even have interaction with him was just insane. And yet he was like, we've interacted quite a few times. The same with Chris Shelton. I never thought I'd ever have a chance to even interact with him. And so it's just like, wow, this is weird. Like, yes, I have definitely fangirled over a lot of people. just meeting some people going, oh my God, why are you talking to me? I'm fucking no one.
Oh, yeah, that definitely is cool that you get to talk to people that you've watched for however many years they've been doing their thing. But you definitely have the most unique reason for starting a channel that I've had so far. Usually it's I had something to say, and YouTube's a good place to say it. And you're like, oh yeah, I did a thing for a school project, and kind of got bit by the bug. I liked it.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah, it is. I actually, even though it takes a lot of my videos can take 12 hours to edit, I just really enjoy editing. I love the challenge. I love seeing where something that is 20 minutes, half an hour long, getting compressed into 15 minutes. I love seeing the evolution of the project. So yeah, I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the editing. I enjoy the learning process of it. And yeah, so yeah, that's it.
I think Tria Tail hit it right on the nose. Marrow isn't a nobody though.
I love you, Tria. Thank you.
She is good people. I like her.
Yeah, no, she's brilliant.
So, like, what would you say the goal of your channel is, or do you really have one?
Well, my goal was to hit 1,000 subs. So at the moment, and I was like, what? That happened? How'd that happen? So yeah, I haven't figured that one out yet, to be honest with you. More it's just kind of seeing where it goes. Just sort of seeing how I go. I'd never really expected to have so many videos with Lucius on it. Because I thought, oh, no one's going to want to watch a video with snakes. And everyone's like, oh my God, I want more snake videos. Like, okay.
Who doesn't love a danger noodle? Come on.
No, exactly. Who doesn't love a danger noodle?
Out of curiosity, how dangerous is your noodle?
Well, he won't kill me, hopefully. At the moment, he's pretty dangerous to my hands and my fingers. He got me last night. I don't know if you can. Can you see that scratch? This is really hard to.
Yeah, it's really tiny. I reckon.
Yeah, he got me last night on. And I was like, dude, I fed you last night, like the night before last. Like, seriously, why are you hungry?
How often do you have to feed snakes?
About once a week.
Wow.
But yeah, and they're really, really easy to look after. Like, you feed them once a week, you make sure they've got water every day, try not to get eaten by them, But the substrate I change whenever he sheds, because you can get salmonella on his shed, and I don't want salmonella to be all throughout his tank. So yeah, I clean his tank once a month. I just make sure I pick up all the poo every week, and they're about that big, and you just grab them out with like a tissue or something. So as far as animals go, they're really great. You just have to make sure that you lock the tank whenever you leave, because they are escape artists.
Oh, it almost sounds like one of our cats. Little bastard's an escape artist, and he'll escape for extended periods of time, which is not good, but it's what he does.
Yeah. At least he'll come back. If Lucy's got out, I probably would never see him again. So yeah, if that happened, I would be so devastated.
Yeah. I mean, that does sound like it. suck. I mean, we get attached to our animals, you know.
Yeah.
But so, is there anything you've done on your channel that you're particularly proud of or enjoyed the most?
That's a good question. In regards to my favorite video, I would say I'm probably most proud of my solo videos. Would probably be the God is a Woman. That's where I took a whole heap of animals and to make the suggestion that God is actually a woman. Like, for example, God, is, when the first day, like day 5, for example, she's sort of horny. She does all these weird ass things in regards to sex, and then a couple of days later she's producing animals that are happy and cute, like the bunny rabbits and those cute little animals that are soft and cute and fuzzy. And then she goes to a party that afternoon and takes an acid pill and brings out the mantis shrimp and the mirror spider, and then she wakes up with a massive hangover. She feels like shit. So you've got the Barbarossa, which is this really ugly animal that has one of its teeth grows into its skull because she hated it. And then she gets further on, she gets a bit cranky because she gets really cranky, and so she brings out the parasites and the evil things that animals do to each other. And then she has her first day of her period, and then she brings out, so she makes the blobfish. So my argument is that the fact that these animals exists is exactly why God is a woman, because it relates to her the menstrual cycle. So that's a hypothesis I've had for a while, and it's a silly hypothesis, but I like that one. It was a lot of research, but a lot of fun to do. The other one that I'm quite proud of is the crossover I did with myself. So that was before I amalgamated my 2 channels. And it was talking about how to pick a good scientific journal and how to find what a good scientific journal is. And it was a lot of fun to do. And I'm thinking about bringing back this thing where I get to choose. Yeah. So I'm thinking about writing it because I've got a little bit more time because I don't have uni. I can do a lot more research and do that again. So yeah.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a good thing to do, because the ridiculous anti-vax people out there, and people that want to huck snake oil, they use shady publications, and they're like, well, I mean, it's published research.
Yeah, but it's probably like when I have a client who takes me to church every once in a while, and they're always an interesting day. I was there once, and the priest used published research in a journal to state that religious people are more happy than non-religious people. This journal it was published in was what was it? Like something like Christian Psychology or something like that. And its impact factor, the journal is as old as I am, and its impact factor was less than 1. So it was 0.36 or something like that. And if you don't know anything about impact factors, basically it is an impact factor on a journal is how often something is actually cited from. So, for example, if a journal prints has 100 pieces, if a journal has 100 articles published in it, and in 1 year that journal had 100 citations from that journal, its impact factor is 1. Nature, I think, is like 42. So that means for every thing that they publish, for every journal that they publish, article they publish, at least on average 42 people will cite from that article. So the higher the impact factor, the more, like, the better it is, like the more likely it is going to have good methodology, good statistics, because Nature wants to have that reputation kept really, really good. But for a paper that has an impact factor of less than 1, you're going to have to start thinking, what's this about? But then again, it's not a perfect system, because you've got Wakefield's thing linking the MMR vaccine to autism was published in a very high tier paper, which was the Lancet. I'm not sure what its impact factor is, but it is one of the highest tier journals around. So they can also, they can make mistakes. Like, it's not perfect. However, it's just, that's probably my favorite. As going back, it's probably one of my favorites. One of my most proud moments was to show this video. So I've kind of lost my train of thought. Thank you, ADHD.
Everybody does that constantly. It's annoying.
Yeah, I have the attention span of oh my god, a puppy.
Oh, better make sure Lucius doesn't eat it.
He better not.
It'd probably be impressive if he did, because I've seen pictures of Lucius. He's not that big of a snake.
No, he's only about 90 centimeters, maybe. Trying to measure a snake is like trying to herd cats while nailing jelly to the wall at the same time. So, yeah, especially if you don't have other hands. So you're like, okay, how am I going to try and figure out how long? He is approximately that long. But I think my guesstimate, because his tank is roughly as long as he is, so he's roughly around 90 centimeters, which is 2 feet, maybe, I think. Maybe, I don't know. Why can't you go metric? God damn it, America.
No.
God damn it.
I think part of the problem is we've got so many traffic signs using imperial, and it'd be expensive to change all those on top of speedometers in cars.
Well, you can kind of do what the UK do and sort of do bits of both. So, the UK still uses imperial, but uses metric at the same time. Like, you don't have to go overnight. You can sort of have one generation that's both imperial and metric, and then have the next generation that's just metric. Like, it can be a long-term thing, guys. For the love of God, go metric.
So Mark Caesar's got something kind of funny. Don't ask a guy, they always overestimate a length. 96 centimeters is 3 feet.
3 feet. Okay, thank you, Mark. Yes, I keep forgetting that my tank is a 3-foot tank. For some reason, my brain has said it's a 2-foot tank, but it's a 3-footer. But that doesn't matter, because I go in centimeters, which is 93 centimeters.
But all right. So, do you have any holdovers from your old religion, like fear of hell or anything like that?
Strangely enough, yes. I do still occasionally get guilt about sex, even though it's very rare, and slowly but surely, I don't think I've had sex guilt in bloody months, if not years. So but occasionally I still get that kind of, oh no, am I being a slut kind of thing. But that's one of the things that I have a bit of hangover. I do occasionally still think to myself that, oh, what if I'm wrong? What if I will go to hell? And then I remember the fact that the whole my brain will just stop firing its electrons around itself. So I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about that, which is really nihilistic, but at the same time, it's really freeing because I don't have to worry about going to hell. So yeah, so occasionally I do, but other times, like, I'm just grateful that I'm no longer, I don't have that guilt that I used to have when I was a kid questioning things. I don't have that guilt where I'm like, I don't like God, because it was just like, I don't have that anymore, which is good. Actually, it's interesting. The first time I ever heard someone argue that they are more moral than God, I hadn't been a Christian for a while, and my first reaction is like, how can you say that? How can you? Oh, okay, yeah, good point. Because they were like, I don't murder people, I don't rape people, I don't command genocide, I don't want that to happen. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. Then again, yep, no, I'm more moral than God too now that you point that out. Yeah, good point.
Pretty much everyone that doesn't do those things for good reasons rather than, fear of punishment or just out of sheer obedience is already more moral than God.
Yeah, because I was watching that dumpster fire of a debate between G-Man and Shannon yesterday, and I don't know if she's on the chat, but massive shout out to Shannon for not trying to reach through the screen and choke him, because God, I wanted to do that. He actually was saying that the reason why you're less moral than God is because God commanded this to happen as punishment. And because God commanded that as punishment, you like he said, nobody hates the police for arresting someone who's a murderer. No one hates, like, and I'm like, yeah, but God kind of like murdered somebody's baby for the actions of their uncle. Like, that's immoral. Like, imagine arresting your innocent brother and sending them to jail as punishment for something that you did. Like, that's not moral. There's no morality there. What are you talking about? You weird man.
Awful lot of special pleading going on.
Mm.
It's immoral when we do it, but when God does it,
yeah, it's because he is all good. And you're like, well, not really. He kind of ruined someone's life for a bet.
yeah, actually.
And one of the things about the whole Job story, which I've mentioned quite a few times, which is like God said to Job, I'll give you everything back. Everything you lost, I'll give back, which is great. I'm okay with that, except for the fact that he actually murdered his wife and children. So his wife and children didn't get what they had back. So, Job got everything he had back, but, what about the deaths of the people that God caused? Like, do they not matter?
Guess not.
Yeah. But then again, wives and children were property back then. Yeah. So it really was literally giving him his family back, because it was just like, oh, you lost your house, oh, here, have another one. Yeah. No.
I mean, I really liked that first house.
Yeah, I want that one back. No, you're gonna have this one. All right.
Yeah.
I'd rather not have the emotional torture that you put me through. Like, call me crazy.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. It's. I mean, if morality is really objective, as Christians love to say it is, all of those same rules apply to God equally. Otherwise, it's subjective, and I win.
It's a very interesting conversation. I like you can accuse me of the was it the fence sitter fallacy or something like that, but I kind of believe it's a bit of both. Which is a bit of a controversial thing, I know, because they are pretty much mutually exclusive. But if you can define morality as the reduction of pain and hurt for all living things, then that's a fairly objective thing. Like you can objectively say, if this animal is being tortured, that is wrong. However, on an individual level, that's when it becomes subjective. So yeah, it's mutually exclusive, but if you put down a simple rule such as the aim to reduce pain and suffering for all living things, not just humans, but for sentient animals, then not even just sentient animals, just animals in overall, you can, I think that's a fairly good objective thing that is pretty easy to come to conclusion. But then again, it's an interesting conversation to have. But so for example, for me, I have anemia. I have problems with absorbing iron. So as much as I try my hardest to be as vegetarian as possible, because I don't agree with, killing of animals, I get sick. Like if I don't eat meat, I actually get quite ill if I don't eat meat. So it's objectively wrong to murder an animal for my consumption, but then again, it's objectively wrong for me to be sick because I'm suffering. So that's when you have to start looking at individual levels of morality.
I don't know if I agree, but I definitely understand what you're trying to say. So.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I know I understand. It is a completely, it's a logical fallacy. I don't know. It's not. It's a fallacious way of thinking. I agree with you. I'm not. My idea of subjective and objective morality does not fit. Like it's a contradiction within itself. So I'm willing to accept that.
How would you feel about lab-grown meat?
I would eat it.
No animal killing needed.
I would absolutely eat it. In fact, I would prefer to eat it. If someone said pay an extra $15 for a steak that's been lab-grown over a cow that's been well looked after, I would still probably go the lab-grown meat. I don't have any problem.
No difference in taste. It's all the same proteins. It's just grown differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I'd also be okay with eating like cricket flour and things like that. We as a species need to start looking at other sources of proteins. So yeah, we eat bugs anyway. I mean, if you've ever had a prawn or a shrimp in Australia, but if you've ever had shrimp, no, hang on, don't give yourself the raw prawn. Sorry, if you've ever had a prawn, which is Australian, and shrimp in the US, they're underwater insects. Like they're basically insects that live in the water. Yeah. So I don't have an issue with eating bugs. And also they reproduce quickly. They don't tend to have a central nervous system, so it's hard to explain. Like for them to, they're not as sentient as other animals, even though they are able to. Yeah, so we as a species have to start thinking about looking at other forms of food, because we aren't going to be able to sustain ourselves if we don't.
Yeah, we've been a little irresponsible our entire
years. Yeah. I actually read article where they went back and they were like, okay, since when have humans started changing the climate of the Earth? And they found out and they figured out that it actually went back to the agricultural revolution. So we've been changing the Earth's climate for over 10,000 years.
Well then, that's a good record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the last interview question I had for you. Is there any chance we could see your danger noodle before we go?
Okay, if you guys hear me start yelling, it's him. I will come back with a snake attached to my hand. I will be back. Okay, so.
Oh, and while we're waiting for Mara to get back, how you doing, chat? Should only be about a minute before she gets back with Lucius. Hopefully less. Because I didn't think to prepare for talking by myself extendedly. So, yeah. And I'm just now remembering there's like a 30-second delay. I'm doing so badly at this. This is so awkward. But yes. Hey, here we go.
Good news. You decided not to eat me.
Hey.
Unfortunately for everyone else.
I'm going to go ahead and move my camera so I can actually see Lucius here.
Here he is.
Hiding in netting?
Yeah. Hey, dude. Come on, matey. Here he is.
Not feeling too social?
No, I don't think so. It's normally his sleepy time. Whoa. So there he is.
Oh.
So I'm sorry, everyone, you didn't get to see live footage of me being eaten.
I'm okay with it. I prefer when my guests don't become a meal.
Yeah, I prefer not to be a meal either. It's strange that I know it's a kind of a bizarre concept. not being a meal to another animal. Speaking of what we were just talking about.
Oh,
there he is. Look at him.
He's a tiny little guy.
He's still pretty small. He'll probably grow for another. He might halve again in size, lengthwise. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I've got everything's backwards on. Yeah. Oh.
Blame it on being in Australia.
Pretty much, yeah.
Of course, that's more upside down than anything.
Yeah, look at him.
Lucius. Oh God, he's trying to eat me.
It doesn't hurt.
Much.
Yes, no, he's a sweetheart. I really love him. He's got a good personality. When I bought him, this should have been a bit of a, like, in hindsight, it's 2020. When I bought him, the guy who got him out of the tank for me was struck and bitten by Lucius. And I'm like, he's like, no, that's good. He's got a good feeding reflex. Right now, I'm like, he's got a freaking good record. Yes, he's but that's what you want. A lot of the times snakes don't want to eat. And if that happens, they can get sick, obviously. You know, if you don't eat, you get sick. So he's with the fact that he's eating so well, it's you know, I'd rather have a snake that ate too much than not enough.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that part of his meal is me.
Oh. So why'd you go with a snake instead of like a dog or a cat?
Well, I live in an apartment, so a dog is not really appropriate. I wanted a cat when I moved in, but I initially was told I'm not allowed a pet, so I didn't get one, even though I used my. It's sort of one of the things that made me laugh is that, oh, you're not allowed to do something. I was like, oh my god, you just told a millennial who is also studying that I'm not allowed to do anything, like get a cat. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to look that up. Oh, how do you know I'm actually allowed to get one? So I actually ended up forcing them to change the bylaws where I live for that reason.
Nice.
But because I work a lot, and I also because I work a lot, it wouldn't have been fair on a cat for me to have it here. So I decided to get an animal that doesn't require constant love and attention. And when I was about 20, I actually watched my budgie get eaten by a snake. And ever since then, I was just like, I want a snake. I want a snake. And I'd wanted one for ages. And then one day I went, hang on, I can get a snake. Yes. So yeah, I got him. Got a snake. When I
Bird, right?
what was that?
A budgie's a bird, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I also owned some dinosaurs earlier in my life. That makes me sound a lot more badass than I really am.
They've gotten a lot more tame in the last several million years.
Yeah. When I first got Lucius, he was about 30 centimeters, and I was terrified of him. Like, I thought he was cool and I really enjoyed, but oh my god, when I first had him, I was like shaking. I was absolutely terrified of him. And now, of course, I'm not at all. He's like, we've got a good thing going on between the two of us, minus the eating. Sorry, it just blows my mind that he tries to eat me on a fairly regular basis. But he's getting like, when he first tried to bite me, it took him about 20 minutes, half an hour to stop trying to eat me, and then another 45 minutes to unwrap himself. So I would be stuck with this snake on my hand for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But last night he stopped trying. He released me after about 5 minutes. So he's learning. But yeah, so when I first got him, I was really quite terrified of snakes, quite scared of him. But now it's sort of just I'm really lucky to have him. He's a good personality. I feel like I'm really lucky to have him.
He's definitely got quite a bit of popularity on YouTube and Twitter. So
Yeah. Well, I tweet.
He doesn't have his own page.
Yeah, I didn't set that up actually. So somebody had set up Meredith Snake's Lucius, and I have a feeling I've got a couple of, like, a short list of people who I think might have done it. But at the same time, I don't really want to know because it'll kind of ruin the magic. So, but yeah, I was just like, yeah, it wasn't me. I didn't set it up, which I thought was I thought that was really amazing, really cool. So, yeah, no, he's definitely a lot more popular than me, to be honest with you. I actually tweeted out today, it's like, yeah, let's be honest, everyone, you don't follow me for me, you follow me for the snake.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, my response to that was, "Can I have Lucius on for an interview?"
Yeah. I actually, when I got him, I was initially I was tossing up between Lucius and Lucifer, but it kind of stuck. Lucius kind of stuck, and I think it's a nicer name as well. Like, it doesn't have that same connotation.
Yeah, and I mean, the snake in the Garden of Eden wasn't the devil anyway, so
That's true. Yeah,
it ultimately works out.
yeah.
Lucius is a better name, I think.
It's a good name. I think it means something like light or something.
Lightbringer.
Something like, yeah, well, Lucifer was like,
Yeah.
Lucifer is Lightbringer. I think, and Lucius might also be Lightbringer, but Romanized, Latinized, or whatever.
It's possible.
Yeah. No, he's good. He's just a really chilled out snake. Yeah. I don't know how old he was. Maybe an 8-year-old kid came over to my place a few weeks ago and met him, and he was terrified. Oh my goodness. He was just like, and I'm like, are you all right, mate? And he's like, I'm fine. Fine. Like, okay, like you don't have to. And like, no. And then Lucius came up on his cheek and I was like, dude, shut your eye. You have to shut your eye because ages ago, I think maybe in February, maybe, or March, I had Lucius climbing around on my face and I had my eyes shut, but my eye twitched and he actually attacked and tried to eat my eye.
Yikes.
And I was like, and I tried getting a photo of it. I actually was like, I was running around. I was like, I'm going to try and get a photo. And then after a while, I was like, no, I can't get this photo. Having a snake trying to eat your eyeball, this is enough.
Imagine there was a little discomfort there.
Yeah. Well, it was my eyelid, not my eyeball, but I was still kind of going, I couldn't take, and because it was on one of my eyes, I couldn't see what I was doing on my phone because, you're kind of distracted when you've got a snake eating your face. Just letting you know, like it's a little bit distracting when a snake is trying to eat your face. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you and Lucius coming on to my channel to have a talk. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the hey, let's do it now thing, because
all right. Yeah, I'm totally cool with it, actually. So I've got nothing against impromptu streams.
Fair enough. Let's see if I can try and get him out of this netting. I don't think I can because he's going back into the netting. There's a part of it.
Yeah, he's dug in pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it's nap time for him anyway. So
yeah, I should probably put him back.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody, you can find Nervardia's links down in the description below. Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon, I think, are the 3 things that I've got up for you.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me on. I had a good time. Thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining as well in the side chat.
Yeah. So everyone, after I end this, definitely head over to particularly Nervardia's Patreon and help her out a little bit. She's a student, so she can use the help. And subscribe to her YouTube, because are you monetized yet, or?
No. I'm thousands of minutes away from it, and I don't know what's happening. A lot of my views have dropped like significantly over the past couple of videos. I think I might have made the algorithm a bit angry.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately.
That happens when you rock the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of my views have dropped down, and yeah, I'm not getting as much, and it's like,
yeah. So everyone head over to Nervardia's YouTube channel as well, and subscribe to her and watch her videos to pump up her watch time, get her to monetization. But
right.
Yep, that'll do it for this one. Take it easy, everybody, and I'll see you all in the next one.
And don't forget, don't give yourself the raw prawn.